Hi guys, it's me, Dr. George, and as you can see, I'm not on a cruise ship. I got a little bit of typical news, not typical, but I guess common. I contracted COVID, my husband and myself, so we couldn't go on a cruise ship like that. So here I am in my house dressed as a pig, but I did make a promise, and I do have a book tonight. And my book, let me get my private page up so that I can say hello. Hi, Miss Jackson. So I have New York Times bestselling author of The Art of Racing in the Rain, Garth Stein, Enzo in the 4th of July races. That's the name of the book. Now, my special guest is the illustrator, R.W. Ailey. And I think I said that right. I'll bring them out. Hi, Miss Jackson. He and his wife. And there they are. Hello. How are you all doing?
Good. How are you doing? Thank you for inviting us.
So, Zoe and Bob, tell me, because not only did you illustrate this book, and we're not skipping over Enzo. Enzo, we love you, but you are known for a very famous character. Who is that, Bob?
Well, I've been illustrating the Paddington Bear books for about the last, over 20 years now.
So are you the original illustrator?
No. Paddington's been around for about 50 years. So I've been doing all the picture books and the books that the Paddington's author Michael Bond has written for the past 20 some years.
Oh wow! So you're the second.
Oh well, probably about the fourth illustrator. Actually, it's been it's Paddington's gone through many illustrators, but I've stuck around the longest, so that's a good thing.
That is awesome. So I do have one question because Paddington has the movies. Hello, Gloria. Do you do anything with the movies?
No. The movies are a whole different thing. They use some of the drawings to style the character on, but other than that, it's pretty much just a movie thing.
Wow. So Zoe, tell me this. So you're married to how is it being married to an artist? Does he draw all the time? Has he drawn you?
Well, he's painted me before.
Yeah.
And I think I have appeared in a few of his books. I hope as a muse.
Oh, of course. It's always a sympathetic, charming character.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Also, I want to correct you, Dr. George. Our last name is pronounced Alley, Alley.
Alley.
Yeah.
Like the word.
Like the small passageway.
Yes.
What did I say?
You said.
What did I say?
You said Alley. May have been your accent.
It's probably my accent. A little bit of Louisiana. Alley.
We're in New England, so we have a little different accent.
We're all the way up in Rhode Island.
Yes.
So.
Oh wow.
Yes, but it's wonderful. We've been married for a really long time, 41 years next month, and Bob has, ever since I've met him, been an artist. He's not always done books, but he's always created artwork, and I've always known that and loved that about him. And it's part of the reason that I fell in love with him, because he's such
that's so sweet of you. What a nice thing to know after all these years.
And he also helped motivate me to be a children's book author. I've written a few books as well on which we've collaborated, and he's illustrated those.
Yeah, it's always a fantastic writer for kids. It's kind of wonderful.
And on the Enzo book tonight that you're reading, I had an editor's kind of role. I did some editing on it, but I don't appear.
Editing. Oh, wow. Well, you got a couple of things going here. Hi from one of my scholars, and Mike, that's my fact checker. So he will fact check everything.
Okay, Mike.
And he'll give you all those names. And Mike says he's originally from Massachusetts. So.
Oh, that's our neighbor.
Yeah.
Well, meet your neighbor, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
And hi, Sabrina, Gloria, and Julie. Hello. So I'll get started. I'll read the book, and then I'll ask you some questions. And permission is granted by Harper Collins. Remember, you have to get permission to read books because the authors have to sell their books. So make sure you get permission. So Enzo in the 4th of July races by Garth Stein, illustrated by R.W. Ailey. Did I say it right?
Perfect.
All righty. So it's for Tyrone, a big dog with a giant soul, and to Barbara and Manny and J.M. Fields with love and Glacia. Is that right? That sounds right.
Novlaxia. That's how our daughter, now adult, used to say nostalgia.
Oh, got it. You know, always tell the kids that when you're reading, if you don't know every word, it's okay. So if you hear me mess up a word, just throw the right one in there. Have a little word salad. So here we go. It's nearly the 4th of July, which means it's time for the big race weekend. I love it when we go to the races on Independence Day because there are so many people and everybody is happy to see each other. And this year, Zoe is big enough to race on her own in the Kids Kart Challenge. Now, I don't know if you know this about me, but I never read the books until the night of. So this is my very first time reading or seeing the inside of this book. And very detailed drawings, I must add. And you have my favorite in the book, if this glare wasn't there, but it's hot dogs. It's my favorite food. So
I love
I'm already loving it.
I do too.
I love a good hot dog. It's a big race for Denny and the season points championship, but it's a bigger race for Zoe, who will be in her first race against other kids. What if I'm not fast enough? Zoe whispers into my ear. She's very fast. I'm not concerned. She's been driving karts since she was nearly my size, but I can tell she isn't feeling confident. So I stay with her instead of following my instinct to chase the crows that are looking to steal food. I have never trusted a crow. So let me turn off my light here. Sometimes that'll help my glare. There we go. So that's you, Zoe.
I'm actually not the Zoe in the book, but
oh,
I didn't write it, but
is it geared about you a little, maybe?
Well, Garth Stein, who's the author, created the characters before this book in a novel, and he used the name Zoe. So it's just sheer accident, happy accident.
Yeah, it is happy accident, but that's how the world works.
That's right.
It does, full of happy accidents.
Absolutely.
Right. The next morning, the crew is busy getting Denny's car prepared for the big race. This is what I love about the racetrack. The roar of engines, the smell of fuel and rubber, the dirt on everyone's faces, and the look of intensity in their eyes as they work on their cars to make them the fastest of the weekend. And I also like that sometimes someone drops a hot dog and doesn't notice. You know, I have to go back and forth between the girl and the dog because for a second there, I thought the girl was eyeing the hot dog on the floor. The dog seems that I love this personification in here.
Yep.
While Denny's car is being prepped, he takes Zoe to register for the Kids Kart Challenge. When the practice session is over, one of the fastest kids looks at the registration clipboard. Let's see who's going to get second place, he says boastfully. Hey, a girl signed up for the race. Girls aren't fast drivers. I guess she'll be our back marker. I growl softly at the kid, but he doesn't hear me because he's the kind of person who can only hear his own words. Let it go, Enzo, Denny says to me. We'll do our talking on the track. I let it go because Denny is much wiser than me, and I trust his judgment. But I really want to bite that kid on his back marker. Oh, my goodness. He wants to get him. As we leave the kart track, Zoe breaks away and runs back to the registration. She scratches her name off the entry list. When she rejoins us, Danny kneels down and puts his hand on her shoulder. A wise man once told me, he says to her, there is no dishonor in losing the race. There is only dishonor in not racing because you're afraid to lose. Zoe doesn't reply. I wonder if she's afraid. I hadn't thought so. She's very fast, but maybe it's something I don't understand because I am a dog. I just don't want to, she says finally. I can hear in her voice that what she really wants to do is cry. Okay, then Denny says after a moment, I respect your decision and I love you whether or not you race, okay? Okay, Daddy. So here she is, kind of happy. Not so happy there, but kind of relieved because she doesn't have to do it, I guess.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. It's time for Denny's practice session. Denny's crew chief, Johnny, Mac, and Zoe, and I go to the stands to watch. We're all wearing radio headsets to protect our ears, but also so we can hear Denny calling to Johnny Mac about his car is driving, how his car is driving. As Denny's car races around the track, we can see that he's not as fast as the other cars. How's the car, Denny? Johnny Mac says into his microphone. You're way off pace. Something with the setup. We hear Danny's voice crackle through the headsets. She's loose, real loose, and she's pushing through turn 9. Okay, bring her in, Johnny Mac says, shaking his head. I'm not sure if it's the car that needs fixing, he tells us. So there's a little car trouble. I wish Zoe would get out there and give it a shot, Danny says to Johnny Mac, even if she doesn't do well. If that's what you're thinking about on the track, then don't race, Johnny Mac says. If your head's not in the right place, you're putting yourself and other drivers in danger. You're right, Danny says. Maybe I should sit this one out. I'm distracted. Johnny Mac nods, but he doesn't seem happy. Why did you change your mind about racing? Johnny Mac asked Zoe. A boy said girls aren't fast, Zoe answers sheepishly. What a lug nut, Johnny Mac cries. There are some awesome racers out there who could teach that awesome girl racers out there who could teach that kid a thing or two about speed. It's true. Shirley McDowney, Lynn St. James, Janet Guthrie, and Danica Patrick, to name a few, I've had the privilege of watching on television. So there they are. I don't know. They have her feeling pretty defeated. I know how fast you are, Johnny Mac tells her. Your dad knows. Heck, even Enzo knows. I barked twice. See, he says, but none of us matter, Zoe, because none of us are you. You have to believe in yourself. Danny doesn't look like he's listening, but I can tell he is. I nudge Zoe with my muzzle and she pets my head. Then she looks up at Johnny Mac, determined. I believe in me, Johnny Mac, she says. Then go get some practice, Johnny Mac says, and put your name back on that entry list so I can get your father to believe in himself too, because I believe you both can win your races this weekend. So they're getting back in the race. Somebody's feeling really confident. Zoe's cart zips this way and that and around the turns. Round and round, she flies by so quickly that the bored teenagers take notice. Around and around until we are all grinning. She pulls into the pits and climbs out of the cart. You're up there with the best of them, one of the teenagers says. You should definitely race. Zoe nods and puts her name back on the entry list. I see Denny watching us. I know he's proud of her too. So she's back in the race. So excited. She's back in. Qualifying for the races is very tense for me because both Denny and Zoe are qualifying at the same time. I have to run back and forth to make sure they're both driving well. They don't realize how much work it is for me to look after them. Oh my goodness. And look at Enzo. If I could look at him, he's just so tired. But maybe neither of them did so well. They both qualified mid-pack. Maybe I didn't help them after all. I'm worried about Zoe because she hasn't yet learned how much she has to believe in herself to become a champion. Not bad for a girl, the fast kid boasts, but you'll never catch me. I'll do my talking on the track, Zoe says, which I think is a good answer. After the racing is finished for the day, we go out onto the track. When we reach turn 2, Denny gets down on his knees and feels the pavement with his hands. He studies the turn from every angle. Did you lose something? A corner worker asks as he rolls up his flags. I lost about a half second, Denny says, and I'm pretty sure I lost it right here in this turn. So there he is, right there, analyzing the ground. Hello, Dr. Stewart. He said, go, Mr. George. I'm going. I'm trying to see if Enzo and Zoe will be going soon. You know, the corner worker says, the fast guys break a little earlier here and they get on the throttle sooner. The more speed you have here, the more you carry over there. What do you think, Zoe? Danny asks. Does that look like a half second to you? Zoe scratches her chin and squints at the tarmac. She looks like her dad. Just about a half second, she says. I think so too. Everyone has stopped working except Danny and Zoe. They crawl around the kart track looking for half seconds. I love Zoe and Denny, but this is too much work for me. I've been running around all day in the hot sun watching them qualify. I dozed by our neighbor's fire, which is much easier than searching for half seconds. So I guarantee you I'm going to have a question about half seconds. I'm pretty sure they just explained it in the book, and I'm just as lost as can be. It's finally time. Denny's race begins first. It takes him a few laps to learn the new way through turn 2, but when he gets it down, he works his way to the front of the pack and leads the second half of the race. He pulls away from the pack of cars behind him and takes the checkered flag without a worry. He waves to the crowd in victory as he takes his cool down lap. And there he is, right there, and the crowd is going crazy. I love the support. Zoe's race is next and much tougher. It's hard for her to get past the other carts, but she and Danny must have found that half second on the kart track last night. Soon she's neck and neck with the fast kid. The two of them leave all the other carts in their dust. So, oh my goodness, they're the two in the front, all of them in the back. Try as she might, Zoe can't get past the fast kid. It's almost the last lap as they come into a sweeping turn, and Zoe appears to lift off the throttle. Her cart slows, and the fast kid dives into the turn. I don't understand why she's letting him get away, but then she jumps on the throttle early, swoops inside, and easily zips past his cart. Oh, the fast kid is not happy, and he bangs his steering wheel. Zoe knows he's not thinking about racing anymore. He's worried about losing, and that's all she needs. Zoe wins by nearly half a lap. Everybody in the crowd cheers. I barked twice. So she did it. Talk about paying attention. Zoe looks good on the top step of the podium. She's full of smiles, but Denny and Johnny Mac are smiling even more. I guess you kicked my butt, the fast kid says to Zoe after the award ceremony. Well, Zoe says with a laugh, your butt's pretty big, so it wasn't hard to kick. Yeah, I shouldn't have said that about girls not being fast. Sorry. Zoe accepts his apology with great dignity. But how did you do that in turn 8, he asks. You were behind me and then suddenly you were driving away. That's some trick. My dad and a corner worker helped me find a half second last night, Zoe says. Want me to show you how? She says, yay. Yeah. Well, not yay, but he says, yeah. Here's what I love about the 4th of July races. Yep. I love seeing old friends making new friends and then spending time with my family. I love learning secrets from corner workers and learning how to believe in myself. I love the hot sun and the smoldering campfires and the dropped hot dogs. Most of all, I love watching the fireworks at the end of race night with Denny and Zoe, who are my favorite people of all. Getting ready for 4th of July fireworks around here too. Mm-hmm. And that's the end. And I was going to ask, is there a glossary? And there is.
There is, yes.
A glossary. So tell me this. So I have a couple of questions about the book. So when you illustrate, I know that whenever you do an illustrator, when I talk to illustrators in the past, there's always this thing where they study the field they're drawing, or did you go and study racetracks?
Well, I did as much as I can. There's a local one around here. And then of course, Google is your friend and any illustrator's friend for finding out specific information. And Garth Stein, the author, was very good about providing tips and telling me where to look and where to go. He wanted a particular car and a particular go-kart. And so it was a lot of fun.
So how long did it take you to illustrate?
That was a complicated one. There are crowd scenes and cars are hard to draw sometimes. So it usually takes about 6 months or so to do the book start to finish.
So, and do you have to change it a lot once you?
Well, what happens is you do pencil drawings first, just black and white pencil drawings, and you send it to the publisher and the author, and you make sure you've got all the details right, because it's much more complicated to change it once you once you start painting things in color. But it was a whole new world I got to discover.
So I do have a question. What was the first thing you ever drew that you kept and you thought, or do you still have it? Something that you drew and you went, "Oh God, I'm an author."
Boy, I don't know. I mean,
your mom kept your drawings from when you were little.
Yeah, I mean, I always drew pictures that told stories, and I'm sure a lot of your viewers are kids who do the same thing. And that's you know, I wasn't really very good with words when I was little, so the stories I had in my head came out as picture stories.
Love that. So here's my favorite part. This goes to you too, Zoe. Your favorite part of the book. Your favorite part of the book. And then what inspired you to start drawing, Bob? Your favorite part of the book, and then what inspired you to start drawing?
Favorite part of the book? Well, I guess I really liked the fact that Zoe, who's not me, but the Zoe in the book was feeling really put upon and sad by this bigger boy. And he didn't think she could do it. He didn't have confidence in her. And she kept her confidence, and she showed him that confidence and skill can get you anywhere. It doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl, or what kind of experience you do have. And I like that message.
Love that. What about yours, Bob? I love that.
I was going to say, Zoe also drives fast like Zoe.
I do drive fast like Zoe.
Yeah. So there you go. So maybe there's some typecasting in there. Maybe. Yeah. I think my favorite pictures in that book are the ones where Enzo, the dog, is running between his owner Danny and Zoe's races, and he gets really, really tired. There are like 3 or 4 little drawings in there, and those are the drawing the individual characters is sometimes a lot more fun than drawing the big complicated scenes.
I love it, and I'm looking through your drawings at that page. Yeah. With them running, it's a lot happening on that page.
Oh yeah,
a lot.
There's a lot happening in that book in general.
There is.
It is. There's a lot happening. I think my most favorite part of this book is that the dog on the front seems that he would be the main character, but when you actually get into the book, he's the narrator.
Right.
And he's not really mentioned. And so for me, I think my favorite part of this book was remembering that it's the dog, telling it from a dog's point of view. You know,
all 4 of the Enzo picture books, because there's 4 in the series that Bob has illustrated and that I've worked on, but also the adult novel called The Art of Racing in the Rain. Excuse me. Thank you. Is the novel that Garth Stein wrote many years ago that was on the bestsellers list that these picture books are based from.
Yeah.
Love that. Well, I absolutely love it. And I love that the dog takes a back seat, but not really a back seat because he's the narrator.
He's always
I love that. And
he's a wise dog.
You said what?
He's a wise dog.
He's very wise. Mike said that was a great book. His takeaway is that never to give up, and you set your goal, you can achieve it with hard work. And Mike, you segue right into our next part. Your biggest takeaway from the book. Always do your biggest takeaway. You had to do a life lesson from the book. What would it be?
Ooh. I think it would be that sometimes you need the help of the people you trust around you to help you get the confidence you need to go to accomplish what you want to do. That you can try to do a lot of stuff on your own, but having supportive people around you and paying attention to them and being able to take their advice and their help is sometimes a hard thing to do, but it'll help you in the long run for sure.
And there's always someone around who can help, even if you don't necessarily know who that person is right away. You can always find somebody who can help you.
I love it. I would have to say my biggest takeaway from this book are if we listen to what people say, we'll never accomplish our goals, especially if it's negative. And while they weren't talking directly to her, she still heard them, and she took her name off the list.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes people say things and they don't realize how powerful their words are. But I'm glad she stuck to it. You know, I wanted to scream girl power in there, but the book is clearly about this dog and his heroic efforts. So I didn't want to dismiss him, but I was pretty proud of that girl in there, and man's best friend for talking her back into the race.
So I think particularly now is particularly poignant with the rights of women in the United States. And I think it's important to have girls have power and women have power.
Absolutely love that. And I always say my books are always perfect time, and I just pull one off the shelf. And
yeah, it was good timing. You're right.
Good timing, right?
Yeah.
Good timing. So this is our book for today. And so one of my scholars said, I miss you. And I absolutely love this book. Now, other books that you have illustrated, you said Paddington, but what other Enzo? Paddington, who else?
Well, the two books that Zoe has written are called There's a Wolf at the Door and There's a Princess at the Palace. And they're both gigantic comic books. They're told in a comic book format, and they're mashups of fairy tales, and they're kind of wonderful.
If you go to our websites, you can have access to all the books.
What is the website? It's
rwalley.com, and I'm Zoe, ZOEB, alley.com.
So it's www.r
rwalley, alley.com, and I'm ZoeBalley.com.
So Jess and Mike says Happy Canada Day and Happy 4th of July. So this one, is that right?
Yes, that's it.
And saying what's the other one?
ZoeBalley.
ZoeBalley.com.
Zoe
B, initial B like boy.
Okay, and then Alley.
Yeah.
.com.
You got it.
So yours is like this. Oh, gotta spell it right with an E.
And yeah. Too many B's, not enough E's.
I got excited with the B.
Okay. I know. All this typing.
Bees are exciting.
Let's see. Zoe. Oh, Mike did it for me.
Thank you, Mike.
Nicely done, Mike.
That's my fact checker. Thank you, Mike. So they can go to either of these, and yours is a comic book, so that's good because a lot of kids like comic books. And I need to read that, so I need to go on there and get those as well.
Oh, yeah. That would be fun.
I will. I'll get those as well. So any other books, Zoe? And what inspired you to write, Zoe, comic books?
Well, I've always sort of written my whole life, but in the children's book format, I wouldn't necessarily call them comic books. I'd call them more graphic novels. They're not paper. They have been paper, but they're not little. They're giant. And I think they're kind of fractured fairy tales, and it's filled with a lot of wit, I think. And so
hilarious. And hilarity.
And sarcasm, and in a way that I think both kids and adults can appreciate. And the person who motivated me to actually do it is sitting right next to me.
Shuckins.
He said he thought it would be great, and so that's what we found an editor who was also thinking it would be equally great.
Love that. So we have the books. Anything you want the viewers to know? That's something we didn't say that you want them to know.
I want everyone to know that they can make up their own stories, and that everyone has a story to tell.
Right.
And that sometimes it's hard to figure out the format you want to tell that story in. Sometimes it's going to be music, sometimes it's going to be dance, sometimes it's going to be pictures, sometimes it'll be words, but it's important, and I think it's empowering to for individuals to tell their stories and to put down the histories of their lives. And because it's fascinating. It's fascinating to find out about other people.
Absolutely love that. Well, it was a pleasure meeting you all. Guys, remember, if nobody else tells you Dr. George loves you, I'll see you next Tuesday here at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Thank you, Bob and Zoe.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for inviting us.
It was a blast. See you later, guys. Hold on one second, Bob and Zoe.